So the question is the triple damage experimental mode actually, well, something that could ever be added to Overwatch? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by the glorious...
One amongst many, yes, hello, and oh my god, the
Oh, Lord.
experimental card, it's coming to life. Oh, next season's gonna be... No. It's experimental for a reason, guys. First of all, I just want to put a kibosh on that, because I've seen a lot of people reacting like that. But, yeah, let's chat. Like, you've played it probably a little bit more than I have. I've been experimenting around with it. I've also just been reading a lot of reactions, and, like, I want to start us off with the supports, because I'm a support main. I play a lot of support. It feels like chaos, Sty.
It does, yeah,
like
so... Let's just review each role in this video. Is it good for support? Is it bad for support players? Well, you guys are watching footage in the background here of me playing Batiste. It feels like I'm in some horrific arena shooter where I've got people coming at me from every single angle. I'm trying to attack people to push them away from me. I'm trying to keep my tank alive. And, well, woe is me. My tank is actually a Sigma, so he's just getting absolutely killed over and over again. And the best thing is the enemy have got a Sombra, so my life is literally hell. Now, I've played Batiste, I've played Ana, I've played a little bit of Mercy, not much Mercy, only a little bit, and a bit of Lucio, and it is, this Josh is not Overwatch. This is just, it feels like a mad custom game where I've got no structure to my play. I don't have a tank line to keep alive.
It's the old days. It's 100% the old days. It's like... Everything is chaos. I tried playing Zen just to see what it felt like. No, don't do it.
I've not tried Zen.
Just throw him in the garbage. He's done. You can't play in this game mode. You can't do anything. You can't play him online. You definitely can't play him here. He's terrifying. Because, yeah, there's a thing that happens where, like, the DPS all think, well, because there's 3 DPS, we can just play, like, flankers or snipers or these very independent DPS players. So you're trying to heal people that are spread all over the map. And the enemy team's spread all over the map, so you have no idea where the enemy is. You have no bearings on where anything is, and because of that, you struggle so much. Moira does okay, because, like, Moira wins 1v1, so if you've got a Genji coming at you, you can deal with it. You can kind of handle that. Moira does alright, but everyone else just feels so lost. Like, even Batiste, I struggle with, like, you know, there's no clumping, there's no grouping up, and you have to use the Immortality Field to kind of keep the tank alive. You have to prioritize that one solo tank, so all your focus goes so hard into him that it's like... It's chaos, it's panic, it's frustration. Mercy, I actually think, is okay. Like, because she's so nimble, you can actually bounce around a little bit more. She's actually quite fun to play in this game mode. Like, I recommend giving her a try if you're not normally a Mercy player, because it does have that very dynamic feel where you get to use that mobility of hers, and I don't think you get to do that enough in competitive.
Yeah, I guess you've kind of got all the different anchor points, because you've got all the DPS absolutely everywhere, so it's quite enjoyable. But, yeah, I mean, like, Batiste, like, I was playing Ana, and I had to swap to a healer that could, well... stay alive when they get mugged by Sombra and Tracer. So I was like, do I go Moira? And the reason why I didn't go Moira is because, well, I wouldn't be able to heal the team because they're just everywhere. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? I guess I just go Batiste and try and lob the glory heal nades in from distance. And it's just weird. It feels really, really weird. And I think one of the glaring issues with it is the heroes are not designed for this at all. Yeah. I think the feeling I'm getting, it's overwhelming, is it's sort of like you got the square peg and they're like really trying to ram a triangle-shaped horrific object into it here, and it requires so much more balance.
Overwatch meta discussion, which is there's actually like 6 roles in the game. There's not actually 3 roles. And one of those roles is off tanks. It really highlights the importance for a support of the off tank, because normally when you're in the back line and someone's coming at you, it's the Zarya that has to peel for you. It's the Diva that has to peel for you. They come back and they keep you alive and they keep you safe. But nobody exists to do that. Now, if you give 132 enough time, I'm sure what will happen is one of the DPS, ideally in like the professional level, when actual like, okay, let's really knuckle down and make this work, then someone's going to play something that will just protect the supports. You'll see them stick around the supports constantly and play that off-tank role. Something a little bit maybe like a Mei, maybe like a McCree, just being played very defensively, something tankier, something more robust that can keep those supports alive. Because
almost as if you sacrifice a DPS slot for like a tankier DPS, like let's bring the Mei, the Reaper.
Exactly.
Possibly,
and it's one of those ideas that I've seen thrown around just very quickly, is like, okay, well, what if we have like 1-2-2 and a flex role? But the reality is that flex role online would always just turn into a DPS anyway. And I think the issue where this falls apart is because, well, no one's going to play that, like, off-tank DPS role on competitive. No one is going to do that. They're all going to go, oh, well, you should do it. Oh, you do it. Oh, you do it.
And also,
get the
if you look at it this way, you take 3 DPS, you take, like, I don't know, Genji, Tracer, Soldier. These are self-sufficient DPS in a way. They're so mobile. They can just utilize all the health packs. They can just do whatever they like. So in a way, if they get in and kill the enemy's backline, it doesn't matter that your backline is getting killed.
Exactly.
So it's it's a bit of a clown fiesta. It really
gave me flashbacks to when we played on the World Cup team all those years ago, and I was playing Zenyatta, and my job was literally survive as long as you can to be a distraction for their DPS. And I think that's what support play feels like in 132. You live, and your job is to live for as long as possible. That keeps their DPS busy, while your DPS tries to do the same to their backline.
I mean, I don't like it. I really don't like it. I would not like to play support in this role because you're just so fragile.
Now, what about tank? Would you no? What about DPS rather? Would you like to play DPS?
Yeah, we'll go on to DPS. So yeah, DPS. Oh my god, I love DPS in this mode. So this is the rub, right? I mean, the whole point of this is to reduce queue times for DPS. It does that. It's great. I can get a game faster than in any other game mode, unless it's just some random arcade mode. It's faster than Quick Play Classic. Maybe an exception there, but it's definitely faster than Quick Play. 100%, a billion % faster than actual competitive. I get a game in like 2 minutes. It's like, cool, great. Now, of course, there's no matchmaking in this as well, so that obviously reduces queue times. But it feels great. It feels like I can run around and do what I like. But I have almost exclusively been playing Soldier with a little bit of Sombra because Sombra is absolutely broke in this mode, and I'll get onto that in a second. She's ridiculously broke. It's funny. But Soldier, you've got a fast-moving hero, a self-sufficient hero, a flanking hero. You just do what you like. There's one tank, so there isn't a barrier in your face. Well, there is, but it's not protecting all their team because they're just all over the place. They can only run certain tanks that are effective against you. You're definitely not going to get a D.Va harassing you because if the enemy have got a D.Va, we'll get onto tanks later, but D.Va is just like throwing the game with the current balance changes they've got in this mode for her. But it just feels great, Josh. It feels great, but it's not Overwatch, but it just feels
like a
great.
Team deathmatch. Let's put it that way. It feels like it's like the chaos really helps the DPS. Just you get to play. That's the big thing. You get to play and you get to feel that expression.
You're not blocked by a barrier. It's beautiful.
You get to just if my aim is better than yours, and I've seen this. Like one of the things I love doing when something like this comes out is just watching the community, watching the response, watching the reactions go ahead. And one of the things that I've seen come up again and again and again is the complaint that if the enemy team has better aimers or better gamers or better players, better DPS, they just tend to win. And you can make the argument, that's kind of how it should be, but it really does put the emphasis on if your DPS are better than their DPS, you're probably going to win, because there's so many more opportunities for like 1v1s or coordinated dives or little things that can make a DPS look better than another DPS, then suddenly it blows the game wide open for those DPS players. It makes everyone else miserable, but for the DPS players, my god, you get to flex a little bit more, and skill feels more rewarded in terms of everyone's a bit more spread out, so if I can hit my shots as Widowmaker, suddenly I'm just nailing everyone and I can kill everyone. Or if I'm a clever son of a gun and I pick Sombra. Shall we talk about Sombra?
Oh god. So Sombra's broke in this mode because all you do is you just hack the tank and run away laughing.
Yes.
And then they've got no tank, and so they've got even less protection than they had anyway, and then they all die. This is, I think, one of the... It's not an oversight by Blizzard, but it's an issue with that hero. And again, this just goes back to the whole idea of Overwatch was built for this 6v6. You need a tank. Well, now you need a tank. You need the off tank, the 2-2-2, and the way we play the game. That feels like Overwatch, and it feels like the game has almost been evolving up until that point. And then when you suddenly get rid of those restrictions and just put 3 DPS in the one tank, the problem you've got is Sombra becomes broken. The tanks are not strong enough. Sombra can shut them down, so they've just got no value. So that tank slot becomes, the argument is, can't we just take another DPS instead? Because if they're just going to hack me over and over again, just let me do damage to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird.
Could they fix it? Could they fix it so that Sombra can't, the hack only lasts for, half the time, or maybe just can't hack the tank? Well,
it's interesting, the Sombra dynamic is, because in the actual live game, Sombra either works or she doesn't, and she generally works with a highly coordinated team. In this mode, Sombra just works all of the time because you don't need coordination. You just hack the tank, which is almost a guaranteed hack because you can just hide wherever the hell you like and just walk up to the tank and hack the tank.
There's no off tank. There's no Roadhog spamming away. There's no D.Va spamming away. There's no Zarya bubble. The off tank again. It really highlights, and this is the big thing I think people want to I really want to take away from this. It highlights how important the off tanks are. The off tanks are so crucial because when you take them away, suddenly you see, oh my god, Sombra's insane, Mei's insane, Brig can be kind of insane as well. She can actually be a little bit scary if you can get in there and you don't just get blown up from like the 3 snipers that are all over the map. So it's like there are opportunities to get some stuff done with that. But Sombra is definitely like the big problem child. DPS overall, DPSE feels like the old days again, like the sort of anarchy, the chaos, where you got 3 people who are like, guys, could we just play a game of Overwatch? And then you got 3 people going, I'm gonna play Widowmaker and just work on my sniping.
I think it almost feels like there's no. It's like the old days in the sense of we don't know what the meta is, you don't know what to play. You just do whatever you like. Obviously, people do understand the strengths and the weaknesses of the heroes here, but like you guys can see in the footage here, like I'm running around just popping tac visor and nobody's stopping me. And I'm literally killing the entire team. Okay, I was nanoed. So I was like doing a ton of damage. But it's just like, oh, look at this. And the enemy tank is ball. I mean, that's even worse than having a shield. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
whatever. All right, let's
shall
get
we
on
move
to
on?
tanks.
Ball.
Let's do
I
it.
just want to start on ball. Don't play ball. Everyone's too spread out.
Ball
You
and
can't
D.Va,
get shield.
bad, really, really bad. So I was hoping, Josh, that they'd give D.Va like an actual barrier. Like they just get rid of defense matrix, and when she uses it, it's just a barrier she projects out. I thought that'd be really cool. But then obviously it's too similar to the other tanks, and Blizzard were like, no, we'll just give her back the old 4-second defense matrix. And so she's terrible in this mode. She's actually unplayable. You just get farmed and you die. That's all there is to D.Va. But again, this is the symptom of an off tank trying to make it a main tank. Although there is a bit of an exception to this.
The reason why Zarya works, and I think this is really like the big philosophy shift in this, is Zarya becomes another DPS, and she just becomes so efficient as a DPS because she's getting the bubbles to, like on top of everybody. So you're always high charge, you're always high damage. You can run in, do tons and tons and tons of damage, cut everybody down, and you're playing Zarya in that full like, you know, I am Mother Russia, I am just snowballing like crazy, killing everyone, power lifting the enemy team, bench pressing their Zenyatta back into his spawn, and it's just like you're unstoppable. And Zarya feels great. Zarya feels absolutely great, and it makes me wonder: could they make it like would 132 be more interesting if they just went nuts and made the tanks overpowered? Would that be more fun?
Well, this is the point. I wanted to get onto this because you guys are seeing footage here of me playing Reinhardt, and Reinhardt had a damage buff to his primary attack. It went up from 75 damage to 90 a swing, and that's actually a pretty big buff. So you can see, like, I'm just destroying the enemy team. They're coming towards me. I'm beating the crap out of them. I've got a really good Ana keeping me alive. If I didn't have that, I'd be dead. Because, I mean, I'm trying to... There's 3 DPS just drilling me. The other problem I've got is the flankers. With Reinhardt, it's difficult to protect your team. So all I'm actually playing as is just this massive melee brawler. I'm just saying, come on, you've got to come to the point to push the payload. So you've got to fight me. So let's go. And I'm not actually playing as a tank. I'm just running around with my weapon, smashing people's brains in. I pop my shield, or I bring my shield up every now and again if I'm trying to block some sort of enemy ability. But the enemy have got Zarya, and the Zarya is more effective than the Reinhardt in this kind of way. So yeah, I was going to come on to this. Like, what do Blizzard do? Do they have to just get the tanks and just turn them into this like ungodly? Like they've got to take the place of 2 heroes, right?
Yeah,
so
I think it's kind of cool. Like,
beef them
here's
up.
the thing. Like, this is the thing with the experimental card, right? They talked about, oh, we're going to get data on queue times and stuff like that. And I think the data they're going to get on queue times is circumspect. There's so many different little exceptions and things to make this system work.
There's no SR as well. That's the problem.
It's weird. So it's going to be difficult. But what they can do is find what's fun. And at the moment in regular game, tanks are just very boring. You just kind of sit there and you just take damage and you feel like you're getting pounded, right? And that's all you kind of do. It's very passive as a role. You don't get to play that super aggressive style. But if you buff tanks up and make them terrifying, suddenly, well, as a support, it feels way better to just keep pumping resources into the tank because I know the tank's going to get results if he's in a good position. I know that the tank's going to get value if she's managing to like crash into the enemy team and do a ton of damage. I know that value is there. And it makes the tank into a way more aggressive, makes the tank something to be feared, rather than like, look at this poor little Reinhardt, he's stuck in a corner, terrified for his life, and his barrier's about to break, right? Could that be a direction that they take Overwatch?
Yeah. I think as well, you can break this down and make it really simplistic and say, what does a main tank in Overwatch need to do? It needs to be able to block all damage sources. This isn't having a defense matrix, because damage can go through that. You know, okay, granted, there are things like Dragon Strike goes through barriers, whatever, but a Reinhardt can stop Sleep Dart, for example. When you play Roadhog, this new main tank Roadhog, he's terrible because he puts down a healing field, but he can't actually stop any incoming projectiles. So he just gets drilled. The enemy DPS get loads of ultimates dead quick. He's walking around like, well, what am I doing? I'm not actually doing anything. And then you look at like Orisa, you look at your Winston. They've all got the barrier. They can all function and play around that barrier. And that's just the way the game is. You can't buff an off tank with its current sort of kit, or give it little bits of abilities which don't actually fulfill the main sort of category of this tank, which is it's got a barrier, whether you love it or hate it. That's just the way Overwatch is, right? I mean, even if you play on the live servers now, you look at if you have Ball and Roadhog, for example, it feels terrible to play. You feel very naked.
Classic. Yes.
You feel very naked, don't you? If you're support or DPS in that, you're just like, there's no anchor point, right?
Because there's no way you can survive as anything else, right?
True.
That's why.
But you get what I'm saying, right, Josh? There's no anchor point. There's no like focal point to build the team around, build the attack around, the defense around. I think that's what Overwatch is.
Sleep dart, I think, is like one thing to really highlight as well. It's like when there's no barriers, nothing to stop that, no hard way of stopping something like that crowd control coming through. Same thing with Sombra hacks, like barrier can at least block it somewhat. Those CCs suddenly become so much more important, so much more powerful. I do want to just say Roadhog. Like, can we keep the AoE effect on Roadhog? Can we keep that? I kind of want to keep that. That seems fun.
It's easy to get gold healing with him. So yeah, let's wrap this up. I think, like, for me, Josh, support feels terrible in this mode. DPS feels great, which maybe was the goal of the test, and obviously queue times go down, yada, yada, yada. Tank is, some of them are okay, but it really does highlight the importance of an off-tank.
Yeah, Zarya or bust, basically, for tanks. I do want to, like, very quickly, the experimental card to me is most interesting when they're trying to, like, go, can we push the game in more of a DPS-oriented direction? Can we push it into this more chaotic direction? And I think what people are finding is it just doesn't feel like Overwatch. And so it raises the question of, can they keep pursuing this direction? And that's up to you guys. That's all up to the feedback you guys give.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell. You can follow me on everything, which is at Stylosa. And you can find Josh on
at one underscore amongst many on Twitter, and twitch.tv/one amongst many TV on Twitch.
Awesome. And we'll catch you guys on the next video. Toodaloo.
Bye.